Most people say adversity builds character. I think adversity reveals character. And pressure exposes what's already inside you. And when things are going great, almost everybody can be optimistic. Almost everybody can stay positive and remain confident. But what happens when your sale doesn't go through? What happens when your clients leave? What happens when your relationship ends or your market shifts? When the plans don't go right, what happens? Well, your mindset gets tested. And when your beliefs get exposed, that's when you discover whether your confidence was built on circumstances or actual conviction. And all right, welcome back to the Daily Mastermind, everybody. George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. I want to talk to you today about how you can set your mindset out for the week. Listen, you hear so many things about resilience and adversity, but I want to talk to you about how you can create real comebacks from your setbacks. I want to talk to you about adversity. I want to talk to you about failure and disappointment and the moments in life when things don't go according to plan. And here's why this topic really matters so much. A lot of people believe success comes from having the right strategy and the right connections or the right timing. And after years of building business, coaching entrepreneurs, and navigating through my own challenges, I've come to believe that success is far more dependent on one thing, and that's your ability to keep moving forward when things get hard. That's what you call resilience. And resilience isn't something that you're born with, it's something that you build. And one of the biggest myths about successful people is that they somehow experienced fewer challenges than everyone else. We look at someone who's successful and we assume that they had kind of an easier path, or we see the results, we don't see all the struggle because they don't show it. Especially successful people, we don't get the struggle, we don't get to see the outcome that comes from all of these setbacks that they have. We just see the confidence, we don't see all the years of doubt. And the truth is that every meaningful goal comes with resistance. Every single thing that you dream about is going to come with obstacles. And every entrepreneur faces rejection. They're all going to have financial pressure, uncertainty, criticism, failure. And that's not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's a sign that something significant is coming, because growth always requires resistance. Think about it. You don't build muscle without resistance. You don't build endurance without getting out of your comfort zone. You don't build character without adversity. The challenge is learning how to use it. And one of the greatest lessons that I've learned is that adversity reveals who you actually are. Most people say adversity builds character. I think adversity reveals character. And pressure exposes what's already inside you. And when things are going great, almost everybody can be optimistic. Almost everybody can stay positive and remain confident. But what happens when your sale doesn't go through? What happens when your clients leave? What happens when your relationship ends or your market shifts? When the plans don't go right, what happens? Well, your mindset gets tested. And when your beliefs get exposed, that's when you discover whether your confidence was built on circumstances or actual conviction. And here's the good news. Every challenge gives you information and another opportunity. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. And every obstacle highlights a skill that you need to develop. And adversity is not your enemy. It's your feedback. It's showing you what needs attention. And so over the years, I've developed a kind of a framework that I like to follow that helps me to navigate difficult situations. And, you call it a resilience formula or whatever, but it's basically 3 steps. The first thing you've got to do, and it's really hard, is you've got to accept reality. Control what you can control. Then, take the next action. That's it, right? Accept reality to take the next action, because, simple doesn't mean easy. And when I say it's simple to just accept it, it's not easy, but it does work. The first step is actually just accepting the reality of the situation, not resisting it, not denying it, not wishing things were different. Acceptance doesn't mean you're going to like what's happening. Believe me, it means you acknowledge what's happening, because you can't solve a problem that you're refusing to face or that you're trying to avoid. So acceptance is a key, right? That's the first step. The second step is controlling what you can control. One of the biggest drains on your energy is trying to focus on things that you don't have any control over. Other people's opinions, market conditions, unexpected events, things that are outside your control, past mistakes, for example. You can't control those things, but you can control your mindset, your effort, your perception, your attitude, your response. And that's where your power actually lives. It's controlling the things you know you can control. That's why sometimes I just go work out because I can control that. So once you have acceptance and you control the things you can control, the third step is just taking the next action, not trying to solve the whole problem, not figuring out the next 6 months or where you're going to end up going. Just identify the next step, because resilient people don't always have all the answers, and they don't continue to try to figure out all the answers. They just move forward, one decision at a time, one conversation, one action at a time. Because another key to resilience is learning how to reframe your failure. Most people see failure as proof that they can't do it, but resistance people, resilient, I guess, character people see failure as just good information and how they can change. Because as feedback and information, think about some of the biggest breakthroughs that you've had in life. Chances are they came after a big setback. Maybe a failed business taught you lessons that helped you to build a better one. Maybe rejection redirected you to a greater opportunity. And maybe even, difficult seasons of your life, when it's extended season, forced you to develop a different skill that you never would have learned otherwise. Because you see, the problem isn't the failure. The problem is whether we attach our identity to the failure. Because if failure means you're not good enough, then you'll stop. If failure means that you're learning, then you're just going to push through quicker. And, one interpretation creates like your ability to set you back or basically discourage you. And the other way of looking at it creates growth. And the meaning you give is your choice. It's often said that, life happens for you, not to you. And that doesn't mean that every experience feels good. Trust me, it means every experience just contains value that you can use. So let's talk a little bit about how, not just how you deal with resistance or resilience, like the acceptance and controlling what you control and taking action. Let's talk about how you build resilience. Sometimes it feels like resistance, right? Let's talk about how resilience is built, because resilience isn't developed during the crisis. This is what you have to realize. It's not those difficult things that develop your resilience. It's developed before the crisis. It's built through your daily habits. Every time you keep a commitment to yourself and you do what you say you're going to do, you build resistance. Every workout you complete when you don't feel like doing it, every promise that you keep, every difficult conversation you have, even when you didn't feel like it, every morning you get up because even though you didn't want to, those moments matter. Resilience isn't like some heroic act where you just like have all this courage. It's the accumulation of thousands of small decisions. The decision to continue, the decision to show up, the decision to keep moving day after freaking day, week after week, year after year. And over time, all those decisions create strength. Not physical strength, mental strength, emotional strength, leadership strength, the kind of strength that allows you to remain steady when everyone else is reacting to all the situations happening. And that's especially important if you're a leader, because, leadership it's not about, I guess maybe a better way to say it is your leadership isn't tested during the easy times. And it's really not even developed during the easy times. Leadership is tested during the difficult times when things are going well. Anybody can lead. But when uncertainty shows up, that's when people look for direction from a leader. They look for stability and they want confidence and perception. And whether you realize it or not, your team, your family, the people around you, you're often giving off emotional clues to everybody. That doesn't mean you need to have all the answers for everybody. It doesn't mean you need to protect, everyone else in your life. It just means you need to maintain perspective. You need to remind people that challenges are temporary, that you need to help those people around you focus on solutions rather than problems as a leader. And most importantly, you need to model what resilience is, because people learn from what you do, not what you say. And one of the most important lessons I've learned in life is that some of the greatest gifts come from things that are bad, things that are adversity and uncomfortable. The opportunities that changed my life the biggest started as like a serious setback. I remember building a pretty massive, educational company and had a major setback. And it just took me down a path that has now become way better for my life. And the growth that I needed usually arrived when I didn't want it to come. And looking back, many of the things I wished, I did not have became some of the best experiences I had. Not because I enjoyed them, obviously. I didn't like the situation, but because it changed me and it made me stronger and wiser and gave me better perspective and actually prepared me for bigger obstacles because when you have bigger opportunities, you're going to have bigger obstacles and you have to be prepared for that. That's that hidden gift of having things happen to you. And so today, if you're facing a challenge, if you're dealing with uncertainty, if you're navigating some kind of big setback or disappointment, I want you to remind yourself of something. You are stronger than you think. You've always overcome the challenges, even when it seemed like you couldn't. You've always survived difficult seasons, and the challenge you're facing right now is not the end of the story. It may actually be the beginning of a pretty awesome chapter. So just remember, clarity helps you see a path. Focus keeps your attention on the destination, while discipline keeps you moving. Emotional control is going to keep you grounded, but the resilience is going to make sure you never quit. Because success doesn't belong to the most talented. It's going to belong to the person who just keeps showing up, the person who keeps learning and growing, the person who refuses to give up. And I want you to remember that, because this is not something that's just words. These are things that are going to help you navigate your life. These are things that are going to help you to overcome challenges, but really create the best version of yourself, because it's never too late. Today's the day for you to start becoming the best version of yourself and creating that life that you're meant to live, the one that you were meant to live. So do me a favor this week, try to change your perspective on maybe something you're dealing with or going through. And I hope that this conversation has kind of set you up and put you in that mindset the first of the week so that you can truly overcome things and be resilient. I hope that'll help you. Do me a favor and share this show, share the episode, rather. It would mean the world to me, and it would help us to be able to, get the message out there. I really appreciate you listening. I'm glad you're part of our mastermind. I look forward to talking with you more tomorrow. Have an amazing day.